The modern world was built around a strange institutional habit. When people found an important gap in their knowledge, they did not always treat it as a shame. They did not always treat it as a mystery or a limit set by God. Increasingly, they treated it as work. No one knows the answer. So gather observations. The observations do not yet fit, so build a theory. The theory is not good enough, so improve the instruments. The instruments are too expensive, so find a patron. That sequence is one of the deepest changes in modern history. It is not the same as curiosity. Curiosity is far older than modern science. Farmers watched weather. Sailors read winds. Healers compared remedies. Astronomers tracked the sky. Courts kept records. Empires counted people and taxes. The difference was the new public status of ignorance. Modern science made it respectable to say that even the greatest authorities did not know the answer to an important question. Once that was allowed, ignorance could be turned into a task. The task had rules. Do not rely only on inherited authority. Observe the world. Measure what can be measured. Use mathematics where it helps. Build theories that explain the evidence. Keep the theory open to correction when better evidence arrives. This did not make science perfectly objective. Scientists are human. They inherit assumptions. They compete for status and funding. They can ignore evidence that does not fit what they expect. But the method created a new kind of pressure. A claim had to face observations that other people could, at least in principle, check. That pressure made knowledge cumulative in a new way. One researcher could measure. Another could repeat the measurement. A third could build a better instrument. A fourth could show that the old theory explained some facts but failed with others. The result was not a library of final answers. It was a system for producing better questions. This system became world-changing only when it connected to technology. Before the modern age, rulers often supported scholars in order to preserve an existing order. They wanted priests trained and laws remembered. They wanted calendars maintained and traditions defended. Modern states and markets wanted more than preservation. They wanted advantage. Better astronomy could improve navigation. Better navigation could improve trade and conquest. Better medicine could keep armies and sailors alive. Better metallurgy could improve weapons. Better statistics could improve taxation, policing, insurance, and administration. So scientific research became useful to power. Power in return gave science ships and observatories. It gave science laboratories and museums. It gave science universities, printing networks, military contracts, and public prestige. This is why modern science cannot be understood only as a history of ideas. It is also a history of institutions. Someone has to pay for the telescope. Someone has to build the ship. Someone has to feed the crew and print the report. Someone has to preserve the specimen, train the assistant, and decide which question matters more than another. The source of that support shapes the direction of knowledge. This is the practical meaning of progress in modern culture. Progress is the belief that ignorance can be reduced, and that reducing it can improve life. If disease is caused by invisible organisms, then disease is not only fate, it can be studied. If hunger has causes in soil and crops, then hunger can be reduced. If it has causes in transport and politics, those causes can be studied too. If lightning follows natural laws, then lightning can be redirected. This belief changed what people expected from the future. It made human beings less willing to accept suffering as permanent. That is one reason modern science deserves respect. It helped make real achievements possible: vaccines, sanitation, safer ships, and better surgery. It also helped create a more reliable food supply and a more accurate understanding of nature. The danger is that the same structure can serve very different goals. A map can help a sailor avoid reefs. It can also help an empire seize a harbor. A botanical collection can expand knowledge of plants. It can also identify profitable crops for plantations. A census can help a government plan relief. It can also make a population easier to tax, conscript, segregate, or police. The problem is not knowledge by itself. The problem is knowledge joined to power without enough moral restraint. European imperial expansion made this clear. European states did not conquer the world because Europeans were born more curious or more intelligent. Other societies had major traditions of learning, commerce, navigation, and statecraft. Europe's advantage grew from a particular historical combination: competing states, oceanic expansion, financial institutions, and military rivalry. Printing mattered. Scientific prestige mattered. So did a willingness to invest in distant unknowns. That willingness showed up on maps. Older maps often filled unknown areas with inherited ideas. Modern European maps increasingly left blank spaces. A blank space admitted that the mapmaker did not know. It also suggested that someone should go find out. The blank did two jobs at once. It made room for discovery. It made room for conquest. Cook's Pacific voyage is a clear example. The expedition observed the transit of Venus, a genuine scientific event that helped astronomers refine their knowledge of the solar system. The voyage also served British imperial goals. It charted coasts and gathered information. It collected specimens and helped extend Britain's reach. The science was real. The empire was real too. They were not separate stories. They depended on the same ships and sponsors. They depended on the same instruments, sailors, and reports. European knowledge also depended on non-European knowledge. Local pilots and translators often made exploration possible. Guides, healers, farmers, and navigators did too. They knew coasts and languages. They knew seasons, plants, waters, and political relationships that visitors did not understand. But the credit usually moved upward into European institutions. Knowledge entered notebooks and museums. It entered archives, botanical collections, maps, and official reports under the authority of the empire. That pattern continued after conquest. In the Americas, Spanish success depended not only on weapons, it also depended on disease, alliances, information, and the ability to connect local conflict to a larger imperial system. In India, British power depended not only on soldiers, it also depended on scholars and translators. It depended on surveys, legal categories, and administrative knowledge. This is why classification is morally complicated. To classify can mean to understand. It can also mean to govern. To translate can mean to learn. It can also mean to take control of the terms by which other people are judged. To map can mean to see more clearly. It can also mean to prepare a claim. Modern science and empire shared a basic impulse. The world is not finished being known, and the unknown can be approached systematically. That impulse can cure disease. It can also make domination more efficient. So the central question is not whether science is good or empire is bad. Empire's violence is clear enough. Science's achievements are clear enough. The harder question is how they became connected. They became connected because ignorance needed resources and empires had resources. They became connected because empires needed information and science could produce information. They became connected because both treated the unknown as something to be entered, measured, named, and brought into a system. That is the plain source of modern power. Not knowing became useful. Useful ignorance became funded. Funded ignorance became research. And research, once attached to states and markets, changed the planet.